Well, greetings and good morning back to Shaker Heights Public Library. I'm Lauren Dickinson, the director of the Shaker Heights Public Library, and I just happened to be in Columbus today for the last day of the Library Journal Directors Summit, a national conference for library directors, looking at ways that we can serve our communities better in the 21st century. And I thought it would be really great if I could come down and participate in what is a new event for us, a mobile town hall, and also a new event for our state senator. And it's my great pleasure this morning to take part in this new type of town hall meeting. And I won't be able to stay. I have to return back to the conference, but I do want to take this opportunity to greet everyone, to welcome you to this event, and to introduce our state senator, Nina Turner. Nina.
Thank you, Director, so much. And we did not plan this. The timing just fell right into place. So I am certainly honored that the Shaker Heights Library would host this first ever town hall at the Shaker Library. And it's certainly my honor to have the director here with me in Columbus. So, Director, I want to publicly thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I hope this is a very successful event. Maybe we'll do it again in the future.
I would love to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I want to say hello to everybody. And I did get the opportunity to hear Dan kind of say this has to stay about what I do at the State House, so I really appreciate that, Dan. And I'm honored that the Civic Commons would host this kind of dialogue, and that the Civic Commons has really opened up a vehicle for every average day citizens to participate, whether it's engaging in dialogue online or whether it's doing something like this. So I am extremely honored and raring to go.
All right, I'm going to say one more thing too.
Thank you, Nina. We have, want to let you know, we actually took some questions on Facebook and Twitter and through our website.
Sure.
So we're actually going to start off with one of those questions as well.
Oh, okay.
We have a couple citizens where they're getting ready, so we're going to start with one we received actually on the Civic Commons. This actually comes from Will Tarter. He's a resident of Cuyahoga County.
Okay.
And he said, "What are your thoughts about double dipping and its impact on our state and our country? And what obstacles do you foresee changing this law, and would you support such legislation?"
Well, political will is a big concern, whether or not elected officials will get together in a way to analyze the situation. I know that in Cuyahoga County, double dipping is an extremely big deal. In some cases, it may be appropriate. In some cases, it may not. There's legislation that has been introduced and pending in the General Assembly to deal with that issue. So in terms of the barrier to passage, it's about political will. I think here in the General Assembly, given the high unemployment rates, given how public funding is at a scarcity right now, we really do need to look at this. But I hesitate right now to say one size fits all in terms of double dipping. But it's something we need to explore. We need to have a public debate about this, and the General Assembly should make a decision. So I am open to having that conversation. Not quite sure where I will land on that, but it's definitely something we need to address.
Thank you, Senator Turner. We have our first citizen, Darlene Thaxton.
Thank you.
Hey, good morning, Senator Turner.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm Darlene Thaxton from Ward 1. I live in Ward 1. And I just have a program that I thought of because I saw your flyer.
Sure.
And a program that I had was like a social service department. And it'd be a program where every services would be under one roof for the families. Mm-hmm. And the objective would be to assist the families to move off the system. And I had the idea that the housing would be in one location, but it'd be temporary, of course. And the social services would be on site with close monitoring of all the programs that the families are involved in. And the program would be detailed to families that need certain things, like say, for instance, there'd be tutoring on site for the adults and the students. It would be credit counseling, Gambling Anonymous with the internet cafes coming on, people are getting involved in that. It would be budgeting, the old-fashioned home economics classes, just a couple of things, GE classes for training. There will also be, child care on site, your health care, home economics, classes on citizenship and current events. And I was also thinking the programs that we already have to be included, like for HEAP,
Yeah.
Section 8, where they can also buy housing, your food stamp program, your health care, and job training. And as the families move through this, the results would be, because they'd be weaned off the system, they would end up with a driver's license, housing, insurance, a job, of course, and be a registered voter.
Well,
So,
very good, Ms.
yeah.
Thaxton. And so you visualize this happening at a home or a building? I mean, are you looking to?
I'm thinking of like an area, a larger location.
Yes.
Yeah, I could be like an apartment complex or a couple of
Okay.
homes in a neighborhood where they moved out, and
Right.
they could refurbish these homes, and the families would move in there, and everything would be on site. And so that way, if the families had problems, let's say with education, and they couldn't go to school because they had a health care problem, the social service person would be right there, so she would know in October before January that there was a problem.
Well, I think the idea is outstanding. This is all a matter of getting partners.
Yep.
Because funding,
I know.
is going
Now
to be an
that I
issue.
haven't figured out.
But a lot of your ideas, even if you're willing to take some baby steps in terms of, we have the Lee Harvard Community Service Center
Right.
in our community where they do have social workers there. This kind of full service approach that you're talking about, Ms. Thaxton,
Yes.
you are on to something, because we really do need to have wraparound services, especially for our most vulnerable populations, that people really, really need help and they need direction. And sometimes, you can't pull out of this kind of stuff without getting some institutional help. So I love, love, love your idea. I would recommend that you sit down and talk to Director Goldston, if you haven't, at the Harvard Community Service Center, and share with her some of your ideas and to see how helpful she can be in terms of helping you get your dream up to help people this way off the ground. But I love it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for listening.
And let me know, going through the process. I don't know how helpful I can be, but I would, even if you want to talk to me about the idea, maybe, my office can point you in a direction in terms of some funding. But I would definitely start, because local level is best able to handle this. I would definitely start with talking to Director Elaine Goldston.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Ms.
You're
Thaxton.
welcome.
Okay, Senator Turner. We
Yeah.
have a question from Facebook.
Okay.
This one comes from Natalie Caponelli, and this is more on federal policy. She said, what are your thoughts on the Udall Amendment and the fact that it didn't pass this past week? And is the indefinite suspension of habeas corpus at all tied to the Occupy Wall Street movement? And do you support the Occupy movement?
Oh, Natalie went deep on me. I need the Udall. Is she talking about the employment?
The Udall Amendment would have changed some of the provisions in the defense budget that would
From the super committee?
I believe so. But this is
Natalie gotta help a sister out right there.
This is from the idea of the possibility of detaining individuals, whether they're citizens or not, without cause indefinitely.
I'm familiar with the habeas corpus.
Right.
I mean, listen, I'm not on the federal level right now. I'm on the state level in terms of detaining people. I mean, we have a certain value that we place on making sure that people are treated equally and fairly in our justice system. But now when it comes to terrorism and those other kinds of things, the question becomes, how do we deal with those types of folks? Are they entitled? I mean, that is a debate that we continue to debate in this country about whether or not we should treat people who find themselves in that situation as if they are United States citizens. At the bare minimum, we should definitely treat people with human concern, but in terms of whether or not we extend to them some of the rights that Americans get in this country, I'm not quite decided on that. Her other question about, what was her other part of her?
She asked if this new provision was in any way connected with the Occupy Wall Street movement, and did you support that movement or not?
I'm not sure if it's connected. I would love to hear her thoughts on that. In terms of Occupy Wall Street, I take great pleasure when citizens are engaged in civil discourse, and that's what's happening here. By and large, the Occupy Wall Street participants have been nonviolent. They're focused on a cause, and the cause is that of the 99%. So whether it's the Occupy Wall Street going towards the left, or it's the Tea Party movement towards the right, no matter how I feel about what they're fighting for, the fact that we have citizens who are engaged, who are asking for redress of their government is a wonderful thing, and we should all be excited about that. As long as it's nonviolent, it doesn't hurt any individuals. We certainly hold true to the rights in this country, that people have a right to assemble, they have a right to free speech, and they have a right to communicate with government when they see things are going wrong. Part of the reason why I believe that 99% have assembled is because we have a huge wealth gap in this country, and this is not, and I am certainly a believer in the free market in this country, but when you have unemployment rates that are as high as we have in this country and in the state, and when you have a wealth gap that is so huge, the gulf is so huge, this should be troubling to us all. So we should all care about what they are fighting for. So I definitely have no problem with the 99%. Or with the Occupy Wall Street, I should say. I love the 99%. I love the 1% too. I just hate extreme wealth, but I support Occupy Wall Street. Natalie's gonna have to call. Natalie and we will have to finish that conversation. I apologize for not knowing as much about that issue that she asked me about, but I would love to continue a dialogue with her if she would like, and she can certainly contact me via email here at the State House, or she can call me at 614-466-4583.
Thank you, Senator Turner. We'll do some follow-up to make sure that happens.
Natalie, thank you.
We have another citizen question.
Sure. Hello.
Hello. Good morning, Senator. Thank you for having such a good forum for us and coming out to speak today.
Good morning, Director. Thank you. Thank you for taking up your time to be here.
My name is Deborah Hegler. I'm president of the Shaker Heights Chamber of Commerce. I have two questions for you. One, what can we do on a state level to try to attract more business into Northeast Ohio as soon as possible? And the second question is, in absence of new business, since so many people are unemployed, what programs can we put in place in order to teach unemployed people who have a lot of experience to start their own business in an entrepreneurial training program?
Well, Madam President, that question is right up your alley of expertise. And we do, despite everything else that's going on in this state and in this country, jobs are the number one thing. And for me, as a matter of fact, my colleague and I, State Senator Eric Kearney, we're working on a bill right now. It's called our Forward Ohio Plan. And if you haven't seen it, we can certainly send it to you, or we have a webpage up, www.forwardohio.com. And to your point about how do we put people back to work, our plan is a 4-point plan, namely, how do we help businesses expand and compete? How do we deal with economic development? How do we deal with investments in the employee or the citizen so that they can upgrade their skills? More importantly, to your question, the long-term employed, how do we help them increase their skill level so that they can compete? And then the other portion of our bill talks about stabilizing our communities, particularly those communities who have been overrun by the foreclosure crisis, where they have a lot of vacant and abandoned land. How do we put people back to work in rehabbing those houses, helping those neighborhoods be vibrant? How do we deal with the long-term unemployed? How do we help people help themselves? So our Forward Ohio plan addresses many of that. Government should be in the business in this enormously crushing fiscal climate, working very hard with the private sector to create jobs. We have got to take a page, I believe, out of President Franklin D. Roosevelt's book, when it came to the enormity of the Great Depression, when he talked about the New Deal and how government had an obligation. I believe government has an obligation to put people back to work. I will share with you, Madam President, that the Legislative Service Commission has analyzed our bill proposal, and on the low end, it could create about 5,000 jobs, but on the very high end, up to 15,000 jobs. It is my hope that the General Assembly will engage in a healthy debate about this bill, and that we do what is necessary to help people find employment. We do what is necessary to help people increase their skill level. We do what is necessary to help small businesses that employ most people in this country, and we do what is necessary to help communities be viable and healthy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam President. Don't forget, go to that website.
Okay.
Okay. Mayor.
Senator.
How are you?
I'm fine. Lovely to see you.
You
at such
too.
a distance. I've got a question relating to your efforts to be a local leader for the benefit of Cuyahoga County and Cleveland. You're
Sure.
based in Columbus. You're spending a lot of time there. Your party is not in control of
Yes.
the Senate, and therefore you're not a chairman or chairwoman. What are you able to do, and what are you doing to move Cleveland and Cuyahoga ahead, given the fact that you do not have the kind of incumbency that enables you to ensure that legislation is passed?
Well, Mayor, as you know, because it takes working across the aisle. A lot of times, some of the things, at least that I believe in, or I'm pushing, if I can't get my own individual bill passed, you try to get some of your language in another bill. And I'll give you a good example. I mean, the film tax credit that we passed wasn't in this General Assembly. It was in the last General Assembly. That was for Cleveland. That benefited Cleveland. So although I'm not in charge of a committee, our party is in the minority, we found a way to do some great things for Cleveland. The same thing with the last biennium budget bill. You debate and you get your pieces in those types of bills that help your community. When it comes to to being able to get money, grants, and things back to the district, that happens through the border control. We lobby and advocate for that very, very strongly down here. And you have a relationship with your chairman. I mean, I would love for the Democrats to be in control, but the fact of the matter, we are not in control. So you have to be able to work across the aisle. You have to be able to sell your ideas. You have to be able to get buy-in, not only from your caucus, but from the other side. Go ahead, Mary.
So what are you doing up here? That's what I'm trying to get at. Here in Northeast Ohio to move things forward.
Well,
when you're here.
Oh, when I'm here.
Yeah.
Well, I meet with my constituents on a regular basis. I was engaged, as you were engaged, with what I believe so far has turned out to be a very fine experiment, which is a county reform. The position that I took on that effort was because of my love, as you know, and your love for our community. I visit schools on a regular basis. I visit with leaders on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, one very big project that I worked on that I am very, very proud of this past summer, I participated with the mayor in what we call the Jump School Academy. And that was his idea to try to bring different school districts together over the summer to educate children. And we had about 3 months to get this done, but we got this done with partners from the ESC, the Educational Service Center, which is Cuyahoga County, and the other counties have them. And we were able to get 11 school districts to participate with almost 100 children for 5 weeks for them to participate at Cuyahoga Community College. So those are the kinds of efforts, those are the kinds of things that I like to work on to uplift our region and to really show that we are in this together.
Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you, Mayor, for the tough question.
That could have been really bad.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
First of all, thank you very much for coming and actually giving us an opportunity to have this open forum. It's extremely important. I'm not sure whether you know or whether Lauren Dickinson had an opportunity to tell you, but I want to congratulate the Shaker Heights Public Library. They have just received a grant, and I'm part of that grant. I'd like to tell you a little bit about it because it's about jobs.
Sure.
It's about building this community of Shaker Heights in Northeast Ohio and preparing people to be more entrepreneurial. And we have just opened up the new center called the Community Entrepreneurial Office, second floor of the Shaker Heights Public Library here on Lee Road. And I'm also very, very proud to be a part of that. They've given us an opportunity to also partner with them, the Career Transition Center. Ms. Turner, I'm sure you're aware that there are so many people falling through the cracks.
Oh, yeah.
And in fact, one of the reasons I've helped start this center is because I've been in the field of outplacement for over 20 years. And not only the entrepreneurial side to make people become more entrepreneurial, because I think that's what our communities have to do, but also allow people to prepare themselves for the world of work in the new 21st century. It's very, very different out there since when I first started. So we're preparing people. We're going to be opening the doors to allow people to use our center to prepare them, to support them, to give them more knowledge, to give them one-on-one coaching, workshops, speakers programs, giving the entrepreneurial people an opportunity to come in and have a little office outside of their home so that they can build their businesses, to learn all the new tools. And I really congratulate, again, the Shaker Heights Public Library to allow us to do this. We've just opened our doors, so all the I's aren't dotted and T's aren't crossed yet. But we're willing to certainly help anybody. The counselors that are going to be here at the center are there to really support and to prepare people. And we're excited because there's so many people, especially people who are 40 plus, and the baby boomers who still want to work. Some need to work, continue to work, but some to really contribute to their communities. So we're here, and I hope you'll help us spread the word.
I will.
To have people come and visit with us so that we can give them the right tools and the right coaching to get that job. And to actually, we're going to be working with employers in the Northeast Ohio area as well to match up the talent to talent.
What made first of all, I am so proud that the Shaker Library is embarking on this kind of new way to help people help them.
They get it. They get it.
What made the library embark on this non-traditional way to be such a robust part of the community?
Well, I think actually this is probably, things are changing, as you know. I think this is a great role for libraries. And I think that the staff here at the library, Margaret Simon's actually going to come up here and help me answer that question, I think. She's the one that actually is the one I spoke with to partner with to do this. But I think they get the fact that people need to be much more entrepreneurial because businesses are actually running their staffs differently. I actually have a theory, and I think that many of my outplacement coaches also agree with me, that companies are probably not going to have full employment as we knew it in the past.
Yes.
And I always tell people that what you need to do is you need to develop tools, become much more entrepreneurial, so that you can actually build a treasure chest to go out and actually there are going to be more outsourcing, more people are going to go from contract work, 1099s. This is going to be something that's going to be developing, I think. This is not something that we haven't seen in the past, but much more effectively in the future. And as they got this LSTA grant here at the library. It was a state library that actually went to all libraries, I understand. And we've just taken, let's say, the bull by the horns and done something about it. But again, I really congratulate the staff here because, as I said a moment ago, they get the fact that we all have to work together and partner together to make this Northeast Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio. This is a great city, and I think we can build this up and support this, but people need to work, and they need to be able to have that opportunity, and we want to give them the tools and the support to do that.
Agreed, and I'm so happy that the library is taking on this charge. It really is all of our responsibilities as institutions or whether it's public or private, to try to do all that we can to help people be gainfully employed. So I believe Shaker Library is on the cutting edge, and I am really, really excited that you are doing that.
Thank you. Well, I think also it's not only the Shaker Library. I think that libraries as a whole, this could be the impetus to start things going.
Yeah, agreed. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Sorry to take so long.
Right, don't worry.
Thank you.
Could you introduce yourself first? Hi, Senator Rob Slattery. How are you?
Hey, Rob. How are you?
I have more of a comment than a question for you. I saw on one of your pages that your Everything's Forum. I wanted to come out and support you.
Thank you.
I wanted to thank you again for setting up that meeting last Friday and for everything you've done for both the companies, trying to draw business and kind of boost our sales. So I just wanted to come out here and show my support.
Thank you so much. And thank you at Team Wendy for all that you do for our community. You know, really the vision of the founder, Dan Moore, and all of the people there, including you. You guys really bring it for Cleveland, for Greater Cleveland. And we should be proud to have you as a manufacturer right in our own backyard on the cutting edge from Team Wendy to Impact Armor to come up with ways to protect our troops and our police officers and all the other safety forces. I am just blown away every time I visit there. So I just want to say thanks to you and the team right there for really helping Cleveland to shine, and more importantly, keeping people working on a wonderful products that keep us all safe. So thank you so much.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. You too, Rob.
Hi, Senator Turner.
Hello.
We have a question from Twitter.
Okay.
Gentleman Khalil Seren says, what's your position on the repealing of the Defense of Marriage Act?
Ever hear that position on the repealing of the Defense of Marriage Act?
Say again?
He asks, what is your position on the repealing of the Defense of Marriage Act? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now, Senator Turner?
Yes.
Okay, I'll repeat the question. The gentleman asks, what is your position on repealing the Defense of Marriage Act?
Refresh my memory.
DOMA.
It's the DOMA Act.
Oh, Domestic Partnership
Correct.
Registry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen, two consenting adults who love one another, I really don't believe that government should take a role in that we should not discriminate over one group of folks based on who they decide to love and the other. I think it's patently unfair. And as we continue to fight discrimination in this country, despite whatever our religious ideologies may be, I think it's patently wrong to do that we should treat people like equals in this country. We have fought for a very long time for rights. And that is a right, that people have a right to love whom they will, to have relationships with whom they will, as long as it is among two consenting adults. We should not treat anybody like second-class citizens in this country.
Thank you, Senator Turner. We have another citizen question for you.
Thank you.
Hi, Senator Jill Ziman. How are you? Pepper Pike City
fine.
Council. Nice to see you.
Good to see you, Council Lady.
How are you?
I'm wonderful, and you?
Good, thanks. So one of my new work projects is with the Civic Commons, and it's the Efficient Government Network. And this is focused on getting local governments to do more collaborating and sharing services.
Yes.
And I know that you have some legislation that was introduced, and if you could give us an update on where that legislation is and what changes we might be able to look forward to in terms of what the legislature is doing to help local governments, to help facilitate collaboration at the local government level.
Thank you for that question, Council Lady. And actually, Senator Bill Seitz and he's my Republican colleague from Cincinnati. So when people say Democrats and Republicans cannot work together, that is flatly false. But I do want to really thank Senator Seitz for teaming up with me with that bill. Fortunately, although the bill itself did not pass, the language of that bill was put into our budget bill, House Bill 153. And so the bill is already ready to go. Local governments can avail themselves. It is a permissive bill, as you know. It allows local governments to collaborate together. Partly that bill, the idea about that bill came with Mayor Jackson and one of the suburban communities, I believe it was South Euclid or East Cleveland, that wanted the city of Cleveland to take on some of its duties. And through conversations in the law department, it was discovered that the state of Ohio does not allow two municipalities to come together in that way. And so now it is permissive for municipalities to come together and to collaborate. And Councilor, as you know, with dwindling public budgets, it is so important to have all tools in the toolbox. Again, it's permissive. Local governments don't have to do it, but you come to an agreement and you get it done, whether it's snow removal or garbage pickup. I believe it is a great thing. And hopefully we will come together more, whether it's because because the fiscal climate forces us to. And in a lot of cases, it's the right thing to do. We are duplicating a lot of services. In Cuyahoga County, you know, we have municipalities galore. I don't even want to go down the road in terms of stripping municipalities and telling people to converge their entire cities. But if we can work together, especially on some of the back office things, and have more money to put in other places to help run government, that is a good thing for all of us. So, Council Lady, that if you have a partner in another municipality, you guys can get to work and collaborate freely in the state of Ohio.
Thank you, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Hi, Senator.
Hi, Patrice.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
Congratulations on your candidacy. I just had a couple of questions.
Okay.
As a small business owner, entrepreneur in the green jobs industry, I wanted to know what do you propose to do about creating opportunities for individuals to get training in the green industry. We have a lot of individuals from the restored community that's coming back to Cuyahoga County that cannot afford to get this sort of training. And I wanted to know what type of legislation or opportunities that you were proposing that might be able to help the restored community.
Well, to start with the green industry, I think is absolutely fabulous. We know a lot of companies are really getting into that, from biodegradable paper plates and cups, right, to restoring homes and buildings. We're starting to build green, and that's a great thing, not only for jobs, but also for our environment. As you know, because you were there with us at the Urban League, and thank you so much for that, that Senator Eric Kearney and I are working on legislation called Forward Ohio, which we propose within that legislation at the very top of our list about what does it take to help businesses grow and compete, to be competitive and to expand. You know, the liquidity crisis has really hurt small businesses. There's a lot of money out there, but banks are still holding on to that money very tightly. How can government help? You know, microloans is one idea that we have in our legislation to make capital accessible for small businesses. Also, in dealing with bonding, there are a lot of concerns among small businesses about being able to be bonded. More directly to your question about the return of ex-offenders or the restored community, as you call them, we know that we get about 5,000 people back to Cuyahoga County on any given year. House Bill 86 went a long way to dealing with that. That was our sentencing reform bill. And I see that as a start, but I am so proud of the General Assembly that we passed that bill in a bipartisan way to really take low-level, nonviolent offenders and find another way to have them pay their debt to society. It is certainly not being soft on crime. It is being smart on crime when you put them back in community-based corrections facilities to help them overcome whatever their challenges were, to help to get them training so that we decrease the recidivism rate. And we should want everybody to be able to live a good life. People fall short sometimes. People make mistakes. It's called being human. But if we can take those low-level nonviolent offenders and try to help them, that is in fact will help our communities be safer. If we get them training, if they fulfill all of their obligations and pay their debt to society, and help them to get a job, a place to live, that really helps us all. And right now also, Patrice, the governor of the state, as well as the General Assembly, but we're looking at trying to deal with the collateral sanctions. There are collateral sanctions in the state of Ohio, for example, that certain types of felons can't work in certain types of jobs, even if they have paid their debt to society. There's something wrong with that. So as a state, we need to look at that, reassess that, keeping safety always at the forefront, but give people opportunities to live a good life, especially those who have not reoffended, especially those who are trying to turn a corner in their life or in their lives. We should not put up roadblocks to that. So I'm really excited, again, about House Bill 86, the sentencing reform, and I'm also excited about what the General Assembly is doing right now in terms of looking at collateral sanctions.
Okay, thank you very much. And
Thank
I just
you.
had one more question, again, about the Restore community getting access to funding for training. What?
I mean, we have there. I mean, state government provides a lot of money to programs down to the local level. I mean, in Cuyahoga County, for example, we are fortunate to have Towards Employment. They do a lot of great work with the restored community. We have a lot of our social service agencies, as you know. They do a lot of great work with our restored communities. And then, of course, we have our faith-based community that does a lot of work with the restored community. So we do have a lot of programs out there whereby the state gives money back down to local levels, or they give grants to different programs. So those programs are out there right now. I do believe, however, we have to do more, and we are doing, and the General Assembly is doing its part, even though we're moving slowly, but timing is everything. And so you can take great pride in the passage of House Bill 86, and also take great pride that we are, as the General Assembly and also the governor, I have to admit, in trying to deal with collateral sanctions so that we don't prohibit people from being able to work just because they made a mistake in their lives. And as long as people pay their debt back to society and they don't reoffend, we should do everything that we can to help them live a good life and help their families, because they have families. They have people who love them too.
Right, and it's cost effective because if they're working, then it generates tax back into the cities and the counties as well.
And the state, Patrice.
And the
Amen.
state. Yes.
Amen. Yeah, we
so
got to
thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Senator Turner.
Every time you come,
You got a hard question, huh?
it's not good.
Well, this one's easier. It's more on the state level, so it's
Thank
not
you.
big
I
picture
appreciate
policy.
it. Okay.
This one's from Facebook.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on the state offering tax credits to companies? We've heard about Chiquita's leaving Cincinnati to go to North Carolina. We've heard rumors about Ohio pitching a bid to Sears to get them to come to Columbus. And then just today we had in the Plain Dealer about the state and the county giving monies to AmTrust to bring jobs to downtown Cleveland. So what are your thoughts on this as a sustainable way to create jobs in Ohio?
Tax credits, whether they're on the state level or the local level, are incentivizers. They're just one tool in the toolbox that we use to attract people. I do support tax credits as long as, and especially if they have job creation behind them or the retention of jobs. So we got to do things to be able to compete as a state. Other states do it, and so we got to remain competitive. So I definitely support tax credits, especially when they retain jobs or create jobs. We need jobs. Our unemployment rate in the state of Ohio is just shy of 9.1%. We know in the nation, thank God, we went down. I think it's to 8.6%. But those are percentages. We have to break that down and look at the millions of people, or in Ohio's case, the hundreds of thousands of people that are unemployed. And we have to do all that we can to attract businesses to our state and businesses to our company. But, you know, part of that, and I want the person who asked this question to understand, we also have to make sure that we have a highly educated or skilled workforce, because it might not always be that we have to offer a tax credit, but when a lot of business owners that I talk to in the district, they always talk about how highly skilled or trained the workforce is, that is part of attracting them. Also, how viable is the education system? That attracts businesses. How safe are communities? That attracts businesses. And then how efficient and effective government runs. I mean, does it take forever and a day for somebody to get a permit, you know, for example? So all of those factors are variables in terms of attracting businesses. I think the tax credit is the icing on the cake. We have to work on all of those other issues as well so that we can be strong in our attraction of businesses.
See, I told you that was an easy one.
That was beautiful.
Let's see, we have another one off of Twitter. This one has to do with the Great Lakes Water Initiative.
Pat?
Yes, the idea of allowing some water to be siphoned off of Lake Erie. What are your thoughts about that?
We had that debate here in the General Assembly. I voted against that. Lake Erie is our freshwater resource. Fresh water is scarce, and we have to do everything that we can to protect our fresh water source. So, there may be other pieces of legislation that come up to deal with that. I have to deal with issues as they come before me as a member of the General Assembly, but I am definitely a staunch supporter and protector, dare I say. We are fortunate again in Northeast Ohio and as a state of Ohio in general, but particularly those of us who hail from Northeast Ohio, to have our great lake called Lake Erie, and we have to do everything to protect it for the citizens that live here.
Now this one, the turnpike doesn't run through your district, but obviously the idea of privatizing the turnpike is a big issue that affects all the citizens of the state of Ohio. What are your thoughts on the privatizing it, and if it is privatized, where do you think the funding should go?
I do not support privatizing the turnpike. The state of Ohio has done a great job. I mean, when we drive through our turnpike, it is absolutely wonderful. Our public sector workers are doing a very good job in maintaining that turnpike. People have a misconception, and this is my opinion, that private is always better. Private is not necessarily better, and I'm not saying private is bad, because I really hate this argument that we're engaging in this climate, in this state, and in this country, that it has to be either or it's us against them. To me, the public sector needs the private sector, and the private sector needs the public sector. But when it comes to privatizing the turnpike, I absolutely do not support it. And where that money should go, I mean, I don't even want to. No, I just don't support it. Right. But now, if it were to happen, hypothetically, and I know that's what the governor wants to do. If it were to happen, money should go towards job creation in the state. To me, that is the number one issue. We got to put people back to work so that they can take care of their families, and that their communities are whole, and that they are viable, that people can pay their mortgages, they can pay their car note, that they can afford to send their kids to school, and that just maybe they can go on that vacation every now and then. But in order to do that, we got to restore jobs. But let me be clear, if I wasn't, I do not support the privatizing of the Ohio Turnpike.
Well, thank you, Senator Turner.
Don't you come back. Give me some sense.
Do we have any more questions from the audience? Mayor Rawson? Yeah. The mayor wants to come speak with you.
Thank you. You're doing a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
We all agree.
Mayor!
Sorry. I can't let this finish without asking you for an update on the redistricting battle.
Oh, God.
And secondly, what do you think of the proposal that Representative Budish has put forth?
Well, thank you for that question, Mayor. I am absolutely mortified, not to be dramatic, about what's going on here in Columbus when it comes to redistricting. And I 12 and 4 is not a pure reflection of who we are as Ohioans. And it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. It is absolutely shameful that the General Assembly, that we can't get it together enough to draw a map. Most editorial boards have said that we need to do the right thing. And we being, the Republicans are in control, and we need to draw a fairer, more reflective map. Now, Mayor, having said that, here we are this week in the General Assembly. I have committees this week, but no session this week. So that means the House is having session. The Senate is not scheduled to have session. Mayor, we need both houses to pass anything. So what does that say? There's not going to be any map coming through the General Assembly right now, which is unfortunate. It's bad for our citizens in this state, and it's also unfair to people who may be pursuing those offices. But that aside, when it comes to the map that Leader Budish is proposing, for me, I still don't think, I think he's making progress on that and trying to put up something that is a little fairer. But when you get down into the weeds, it is subjective about what's competitive. And so I would like to see the districts that are supposed to be more competitive be even more competitive. I don't understand in this country what is wrong with people having to run and have to answer to people who have different ideologies. Part of the conundrum that we face in this state, Mayor, and I'm so sorry. I'm happy you asked me this question. I'm probably saying
That's
more.
Clear.
But I'm very passionate about this. We have such partisanship notwithstanding the few windows that we have in the General Assembly and also in Congress, that it is destroying us and our ability to work together on behalf of the citizens that we support. And we've lost sight of that. So having hyper-partisan districts, whether the 12 go to the Republicans and 4 to Democrats, there's something wrong with that. And so I ask all citizens, no matter whether they're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, to hold our feet to the fire. It is a shame that we have not passed a map. It is a shame that those who are in control have not been willing just to be a little fairer. We know that elections have consequences. I'm very cognizant of that. But we got to get over ourselves, Mayor, and do the work of the people. And my God, we can't even pass a map. I know this is a G-rated show, so but I'm saddened. I'm saddened by that. Hopefully you can tell that I'm really not happy about it at all. I think we should have more competitive districts. People swing either way, and you know what, Mayor, and you know this, depending on what the issue is. Somebody might be liberal on one issue and conservative on the other. But in order for us to meet in the middle, we have got to have more districts where a moderate can win.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I had no opinion about that.
Yeah, I noticed.
Hello.
Hello, Senator Turner. Thank you so much for doing this town hall. And
thank you for being with me.
You've seen me at other town halls.
Yes, I have.
I'm Annette Tucker Sutherland from the Shaker School Board. And you know I usually ask you questions about education finance. Today will be no exception. I'm concerned about House Bill 136. This provides vouchers to private schools for families who have income up to $95,000 a year are eligible for these vouchers. They would be paid for out of public school funds, and it enables disproportionate deductions from current state funding that is already going to public schools that would be diverted to private schools. Shaker has estimated that we would end up paying more than $1,000 per such voucher than we receive in state funding for that student that we would lose. And sometimes we'd be obligated to pay vouchers for students that we don't have now. We're not receiving any funding for them because they're not enrolled in our program now. That will cost us millions of dollars over the next few years when we're already faced with declining state funding. So what I want to know is, what are you doing to oppose House Bill 136?
Well, I am troubled by this bill, which should be of no surprise to you. There is this climate that wants to blame the public school system for every ill and create the public school system as the enemy, when we all know, no matter the number of specialty schools we may have, and I'm certainly not against, parochial, private, or charters, but the public schools are the only school system that is going to have the capacity to educate all. And what I really hate is the vilification of the public school system and the siphoning off of dollars in this way. Now, that being said, Madam Board Member, I have private schools, I have religious schools in my district. I have parents who decide to send their students there, but it should not be at the expense of public school students. And what is even more troubling about this is that this bill is going to be rammed through the General Assembly without the needed debate that needs to happen to really analyze this, and is going to be on top of the cuts that you just took through the state budget, through House Bill 153, that cut billions of dollars to K through 12 public education. So the bill is not a good bill. We need to have a healthy debate about this bill. In terms of what I am doing, as constituents call or ask me about my position on the bill, I do share that with them. I must say that we've been a little preoccupied with redistricting here, and as you know, just dealing with Senate Bill 5, i.e. issue 2. So I have not had a lot of conversations about this bill. I would love if you would like to do something in the community about this bill. I would love to come in and we can talk about it and debate it. But I do want to encourage people, not only in Shaker, but residents of the 25th District, to weigh in on things like this and not continue to allow the General Assembly to do the kinds of things that pits one system against the other, and that takes from one group of children to give to another, and that vilifies the public education system. I am a product of the public education system. I wouldn't be be who I am today without that experience. I'm not saying that it's perfect, but we have an obligation, I believe, a moral obligation and a legal obligation actually on the state level to fix the system. You know, we haven't even dealt with the Roth. We haven't even dealt with the 1999 DeRoth decision that the Supreme Court said that the way that we fund education in the state of Ohio is unconstitutional. The General Assembly to date has not fulfilled its obligation to do that. So, you know, I believe one step at a time, we need to deal with that first and then come back to these other issues. And I want to be clear, I'm not against private schools or parochial schools, but I am against the taking of money at the expense of one child or another, and the vilification of the public school system. And this bill right here is not the way to get the job done. It is absolutely, well, I won't say absolutely. I'll hold that thought, but it's not a fair bill.
Well, I've talked to several board members from other boards of education in neighboring communities, and many of them have already sent letters to their legislators opposing this bill.
Yes.
Most of the local newspapers have written editorials opposing the bill.
Oh, yes.
But I thought I heard you say that this is going to go through the legislature, that you expect it to pass.
I do. I mean, unless there's an act of God, I mean, people come to their senses. I really do. The General Assembly right now is slanted that way. I mean, it really is. And so people are going to have to call, they're going to have to write, they have to come down here and testify on this bill. You got to make your voices heard on this.
Well,
this is not the way to accomplish this.
Our letter offered we would send somebody to Columbus to testify. We would be glad to do that. And if you can do anything to slow it down or to set up an opportunity for testimony, we would much appreciate that.
Well, one of the things that we could do, and I'll make sure that we call your office, Adam is here with me, is to send you an update on where the bill is and when opportunity for opponent testimony is. That is so important. So often, those of us on the opposite side of the issue, we usually don't show up. And I see that quite often on a lot of bills. But this bill is vitally, vitally important, not just because this is not the right way to do this, but it is on top of other cuts that public schools have already sustained in this last budget. It is patently unfair to do this in this way. So I commit to you that we will reach out and keep you updated as much as we can, but to let you know where the bill is and when there are opportunities to come, please come and testify.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh no.
I'm back.
I was on a good roll there.
Well, actually, I wanted to be respectful of your time because we only have about 5 minutes to go. So I wanted to thank you for taking the time to speak with your constituents today. And I wanted to thank your assistant, Adam Warren, who was very helpful since October trying to get this set up. And I also want to thank the Shaker Heights Library and specifically Margaret Simon, who helped set everything up here today. And I wanted to give you the opportunity to make a closing statement to your constituents.
Well, thank you so much. And Adam is certainly the best. And Ms. Simon, thank you. And I want to thank the director. I want to thank Civic Commons for giving citizens this opportunity to interface. And this is a great way to use technology. It is certainly my strong, it's my pleasure, my deep pleasure to serve the constituents of the 25th District. I hope that they will contact me not only in this forum, but they will feel free to call me or to send me an email. The email address is really long, but if you go to the Ohio Senate and you click on Senator Turner, my email address will come up. And my contact number here in Columbus is 614-466-4583. There is no issue too big or too small to contact me for. I am in the district quite often, from visiting schools on a regular basis to visiting the businesses and listening to their concerns to just talking to everyday constituents. And I should have brought my Talks with Turner schedule, but for the last 3 years I've been having what we call Talks with Turner. So please, I want to encourage my constituents to look out for that, where I will show up at a rec center or community center or even a library. And my only agenda is to address the questions and the concerns of the people who come. So whether they're 1 or 100, I am usually there for about an hour and a half to talk to my constituents. So again, that's called Talks with Turner. And so we'll try to keep you updated on that. Thank you so much for this opportunity. This has been absolutely great. I have learned a lot during this session, and I really, really appreciate the opportunity. Civic Commons, you are absolutely the best. Shaker Heights Library, you are the best as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Turner. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.